Hi everybody, John here with PT and
Dan with Sandler.
With Sandler. There we
Yeah.
go. Welcome back to the Steel Building.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about numbers, data. I think as we get more experienced and longer in sales, we measure our behaviors less. And I think it should flip the other way. I think we should do more of that because we really understand what it takes to get good. So can you talk about what are some of the numbers as a salesperson you should be measuring? And what are some of the standards of good to great versus not so much?
Oh boy, that's all over the board. So
True.
it's going to depend a lot on industry and what it is you're selling and all that.
Yes. Yeah.
I never look at industry averages because to me that's average salespeople selling. I always want to be above that. So whatever average industry numbers are, I want to be on the north end of that. Here's the thing. When I talk to salespeople, and I talk to a zillion of them, very few know their numbers.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts.
Yep.
And they go, oh, I could pull it up on my CRM, and it takes forever. But we need to know our numbers, and we need to know, are we improving, or are we backwards going backwards? And so what numbers do we want to track? Well, first of all, let's look at this. When it comes to prospecting, we need to do more than one thing. If we just do one thing, it's like a teepee that has one pole. It's going to get blown over. But if you have a teepee that has multiple poles, it's pretty strong.
Yep.
So do multiple things. And so with that, we should be tracking how successful is each of those poles.
Yes.
How successful is each of those things. How many calls does it take to make a contact? How many contacts does it take to make a first meeting? How many first meetings eventually turn into a presentation, quote, proposal? And then how many of those turn into a sale? And if you track those basic numbers, you can see real quick, number one, where you need help. So for example, if I get a lot of first meetings, but I don't get a lot of presentations, I know I need help there. If I do a lot of presentations that I don't get a lot of closes, I need help there.
Sure.
But number two, it also starts to tell me over time, am I increasing my percentages?
Yeah, it's always fascinating to me. So one of the things we converse with our clients about, we talk a lot about the appointments we set. Do they meet? Are they rated as qualified by our client? But then we start tracking, okay, how many of those qualified meetings resulted in a second appointment? Meaning you left meeting one with meeting two in hand. That number is shockingly low to me. But they don't really adjust the behavior there to drive more second appointments enough. Then it's the next layer of, okay, how many second appointments land in getting a presentation phase, those kinds of things. And so I think there's so much value in understanding that data. I think sometimes we don't track it because we're not comfortable with what the answer is going to be. It bugs us, and we need to know.
John, I coach your clients. The number one reason they don't get a second appointment from a first appointment is they don't get that appointment scheduled during the first appointment.
Right.
They have to follow up. And that, by the way, is just pure weakness. As a salesperson on my first meeting, I should be going in there saying, hey, look, at the end of this meeting, it's either a no and we're done, or before I leave or hang up, we schedule the next meeting.
It's not complicated.
It's not, right? It's so easy. But when people do that, the percentages of the second meetings go way up.
If you do two things, have that upfront contract and ask for the bloody second appointment. There's still not enough people that ask.
The bloody second?
The bloody too many times when watching English TV, too many times they want the prospect to say to them, okay, well, what's next? And they don't want, there can be some awkwardness to it.
Yeah.
But that's sales. Sales can be awkward. If you're good at dealing with that awkwardness, you can be really good at sales.
Be brave 5 seconds at a time. When the prospect says, hey, this sounds great, follow up with me next week, be brave and say, oh, I'm here now. Why don't we just
Let's book the time.
Bingo.
Well, and you can reference back to that upfront contract on, well, if you remember, here's what we talked about at the beginning.
Yep.
So let's go ahead and set the time. Off we go. So, all right, everybody. See you again tomorrow.
Have fun.